Hello and welcome to our artificial intelligence related video. Right now we're going to be talking about what artificial intelligence is, what machine learning is, and what the importance of AI is. You can also access videos and lesson plans about artificial intelligence through the platform and conduct experiments with your students. For artificial intelligence related contents, we need to click on World Science Movement Term 2. Here on, we'll see loads of lesson plans such as climate change, vehicles of the future, social innovation. Right now, we're going to be going into what is machine learning. Here, we're also going to see our video called What is Machine Learning, as well as a challenge called Teaching Differences to Our Tech. In this challenge, when we get into this challenge, we're greeted by an introduction, materials, and steps of the challenge. The point of the challenge is to teach us about how AI differentiates between images, such as how it can say I'm a human being when compared to an image of a cat. And the goal is to identify the distinctions and how the differences are detected by the artificial intelligence. After that, we can move on to our training learning models lesson plan. If we go back to our World Science Movement Term 2, right next to it, we're going to have the training learning modules. Here, we're similar to all the lesson plans, we're going to have our introduction, learning objectives, materials, curriculum alignment, and the social development goals that it aligns with. We have our video, and then we have our challenge. When we go into our lesson plan training learning models, we can see that we have our introduction, the learning objectives, the materials, curriculum alignment, and our sustainable development goals that are parallel with the lesson plan. If we scroll down a little bit, we'll see that there's a video per usual, and then we have our challenge called Be Quick on the Draw. So the challenge Be Quick on the Draw is similar to the one that we talked about previously. Here we will be drawing an image of something that we want, for example, an apple. And when we draw this, AI is going to compare this image with the other images that it has in its broad database, and it will see that there are similarities between this image and the previous Apple images that it contained. And after comparing all the images together, it will detect that this is actually an apple. You can perform these experiments with your students during class or in between class to make it a fun experience for them. Now we will be using an experiment to see how we can train AI in order to understand the images that it sees. So if we go back to our portal to World Science Movement Term 2, we can see a lesson plan called How Do Computers See? If we get into that, we will again see our introduction, the learning objectives, materials, curriculum alignment, and the sustainable development goals. And then we can see the video and the challenge. I'm not going to get into the video or the challenge right now because we will be using the electric car that we did in a previous experiment and train it to move according to the images that it sees. To experiment how AI can be trained using visuals, we can use a twin coding app as well. So if we go to the controller and select AI Drive, we will have a new experiment. We can go to how it works to see how it works, but we can just do the experiment for now. If we say start, we will first have to train our model. We will select train on the top right-hand side, and then we'll select which command we want to teach AI first. So we'll start with forward. After selecting forward, I will swap the camera around, and I will take photos of post-its that we had prepared previously. So we're going to take multiple photos, so when AI sees this image on the camera, it will be able to detect it better because it's going to be, these are the images that AI compares, this is a database that AI compares images to. And then we're going to say train, it will say model trained successfully. And then we're going to repeat this process for each of the steps. After taking photos of each of the visuals, we're going to go back, and then we are going to connect to our car that we had previously done. I had already connected to this. Now AI is trying to understand what it sees and comparing it to the images that we have. So if we put our camera towards the forward post-it that we drew, it should actually go to 100% in forward, but it sometimes doesn't because AI can be tricky to train sometimes. But for example, when we put the camera towards the stop visual, it stops and it doesn't move anymore. And if we put it towards the left one, towards the right one, it should go to 100% right, but it gets mixed up between backwards and the right one because they are similar images. For example, if we scan the right visual, car will start turning right and it will keep going right. Sometimes it gets mixed up with left because they are very similar images, but usually it will keep going right. Similar to being able to train AI with visuals, we can also train AI using sounds as well. To experiment with this, we can go to the lesson called How Do Computers Hear? Again, under World Science Movement Term 1. And then we'll also see a challenge called Sound Car. You can go into this challenge and experience it with your students in the classroom, but we don't have to go into it right now because we will actually be doing that experiment right now as well. Now to see how computers can recognize sound using artificial intelligence, again, we're going to use the electrical car that we did in a previous experiment. And we're going to go to our twin coding app and go to the controller and then to sound car. Again, like the previous experiment, you can go to how it works and see how the experiment works, but we can just start with the experiment for now. After we say start, similar to what we did with the visual recognition experiment, we're going to select one of the commands that we want to train AI with. Let's say we're going to begin with forward. Now I will be holding down the record button and saying the command that I want AI to recognize as the command for the car to go forward. Forward. After this, I will say save and repeat the process for each of the commands that I want. Backward. Go right. Go left. Stop. You can make sure that the commands you're giving are the ones that are understood by the AI because it also writes the command that you're saying at the moment. After this, we're going to say save, and then we're going to train the car by clicking train on the top right-hand side of the interface. Now we can test whether this works or not. We're going to hold down the microphone and then say our commands, and we'll see. Forward. Stop. In between the commands, I release the button and then press again so that AI can understand the differences between the two commands that I'm saying. Go right. Go left. Stop. Backwards. Stop. As you can see, the commands that I say are the ones that the car is actually doing. And also, when I trained the car, I said backward instead of backwards. But even when I say backwards, the car actually starts going backwards. So it can differentiate and see the similarities between the two words as well. With our voice-controlled car experiment, we've come to the end of our artificial intelligence section. Thank you so much for listening.